It's the Week 2, Game 3 edition of the LC SportsNet Recap Podcast. Here at Lawrence County SportsNet, powered by LCAP. Glad to be back with you again. I'm James Dotson. As always, our get-togethers, courtesy and delivered by Penn Ohio Bottled Water. Again, make sure you give them a call for all delivery of your 3 to 5 gallon water cooler systems, individual bottles, and don't forget to ask about their custom label options. Let's get right to it. A couple of great games that we got to see on Friday night. The best one being Glenn Pop Johnson Stadium, Shenango hosting Riverside, and Shenango gets the touchdown with just over a minute to play in their 24-19 victory over the Panthers. Quarterback Sam Patton injured, knocked out of the game on the first Shenango offensive snap. No fear, Sam Myers is here. And maybe it should have been a little bit of fear because the first pass intercepted. First play, really, after he came in, did not go well. Had some ups and downs, but the fact that they were able to fight back the whole way through, and Myers especially just had an incredible job. Throws for 251 yards, 3 touchdowns in the game, all of them going to Colton Fedrizzi. Let's jump to the fourth quarter. Shenango trailing 19-18, about 4 minutes left. Cats were trying to drive for the potential game-tying field goal or to go for a touchdown potentially when Myers was intercepted for the 4th time in the game. Man, senior made up for it. On 3rd down on the ensuing drive, Myers forces the sack, forces the fumble, and recovers the fumble to give Shenango the ball back. And 2 plays later, throws a bomb down the sideline. Trey Ross makes the catch down at the 2, and on the next play, Myers runs it in himself for the game-winning score. Unfortunately, that big comeback win was dampered with the injury of Michael Agato. Number 23 had moved to number 53, had to move to provide some extra help on the offensive line, but then midway through the second quarter, between plays, he stumbles, collapses to the turf. He was helped to the sideline, but then during halftime was declared they needed to get him out of there, so he ended up being taken to a Pittsburgh hospital via helicopter. Some great news, though. As of this recording, which was on Monday morning, neck collar's been removed. He's actually now been released from the hospital. MRIs found no compression in the vertebrae, has a hip fracture, very little weight, but how about this? They're expecting he can be back and cleared for anything within a couple of weeks, 2 to 3 weeks from a concussion and from the hip fracture. So keep those thoughts and prayers coming with him. We're glad that he's back home. And knowing him, such a tough kid, he loves to be on the field. I'm sure he's at practice. They're going to be at practice here on Monday, and would not be surprised if we see him out supporting his team for sure on their game this week on Thursday night, cheering on the 2-1 Cats, and would not surprise me at all if we see him back on the field. And what did the emotion, the first 2 offensive plays that Shenango ran after his injury, both went for touchdown passes to Colton Fedrizzi. So again, I think just kind of shows the emotional edge that they were playing with last week, and hopefully they can carry that in to their next game at 2-1 and carry it on really for the rest of the season. The other game we had on Friday night, Mohawk against Laurel. Mohawk victorious in this one, 28-6 over the Spartans. Mohawk definitely had an edge when it came to experience and age. 8 returning starters on both sides of the football. Laurel just with 1. But man, did the Spartans give them a fight. Laurel's second drive of the game, they go on a 16-play, 8.5-minute drive, 80 yards on the drive. Laurel ends up converting a pair of 4th downs in the drive, including Ben Hennon with a 3-yard touchdown run, taking the 6-0 advantage, and it looked like the Spartans were going to take that lead into the locker room after they got a Lucas Santini interception at their own 1-yard line. They got a first down, but then with just under a minute to play, Justin Boston forces a fumble. Mohawk recovers it in the red zone. A couple plays later, Jay Rona throws the first of his 3 touchdown passes on the evening, giving Mohawk a 7-6 lead at the half. Dante Retort, A.J. Verdi, and Bobby Fadden all catching touchdown passes in the game, but it was Justin Boston's day. I mentioned the forced fumble. He also had a 4th down tackle for loss in the first half that kept it, at that point, a 6-0 game. Leads the team with 15 tackles in total, 4 tackles for loss, but he also ran like crazy on the offensive side of the ball. How about this? 200 total yards of offense and a touchdown on the ground. Big day for Boston and Mohawk, now at 2-1. We're at 2-0, 2 games down, 5 to go. We'll recap them when we return in a moment. It's the Week 2 recap on the Lawrence County Podcast Series. Lawrence County SportsNet, powered by LCAP, delivered by Penn Ohio Bottled Water.
Don't get left out to dry. Call the Penn Ohio Bottled Water Company for the fastest and most efficient bottled water delivery service in the area. Penn Ohio offers bottled water ranging from 16.9-ounce bottles to 5-gallon jugs, perfect for your next event or office water cooler system. Also, don't forget to ask about their custom labeling options. Visit PennOhioBottledWater.com for more information and to get a quote on their delivery services. Whether it's at home, in the office, or on the sidelines, Penn Ohio has you covered.
And welcome back as we recap Week 2, Game 3 for all the teams across Lawrence County. And let's get into the upset of the week. Union, number 1 ranked team in Class 1A, no more, as they were defeated by Cornell in a battle of 2-0 teams on homecoming. First, let's give the shout-out. Homecoming Queen. Our first Homecoming Queen announcement of the year goes to Union's Allie Ross. Congratulations to her. We'll try to keep track of all the Homecoming Queens throughout the course of this season here as well on these recap podcasts. But as far as the game, definitely one of the bigger surprises across all of WPIAL. Union, third straight time that they trailed by 2 scores in the first half. For the third time in a row, though, they were able to retake the lead. They trailed 12-0, got back-to-back touchdowns to Dane Jonke and Grayson Blakely, made it 14-12, but Cornell scores the final 18 points of the game to win this one. 30-14 the final, and in the end, turnovers just hurt. 3 interceptions, 2 fumbles lost, and Cornell just did a good job of really controlling the game offensively, using their athletes to their advantage. About 400 yards of total offense, 282 on the ground. So Cornell still undefeated, Union at 2-1. Elwood City with a win over Carlinton, jumped straight to the fourth quarter where they're tied 12-12, but they get a pair of scores late. A 25-12 victory for Elwood City as Elijah Palmer McCain got his second rushing touchdown of the game there in the fourth quarter. Chris Smiley would run one in as well from 3 yards out. How about this? The third straight week, Chris Smiley has both thrown for a touchdown pass and run a touchdown in the same game. So 3 touchdowns each way for the junior quarterback. He found Michael Walters for a 7-yard strike in the first half, and EPM doing what EPM does, 150 yards on the ground with those 2 touchdowns. Wolverines, becoming a theme here, also at 2-1. You know who else is at 2-1? The Neshannock Lancers after their victory over Ambridge. It's the home opener for Neshannock at Bob Ledgy Stadium, and the offense was lights out under the new pristine lights there at Neshannock High School. Quarterback Gino Mazzocco, first down touchdown passes to Ashton Allison and Ethan Bayman. And then the play of the game occurred late in the first quarter. Neshannock's Tony Parada recovers a fumble, returns it 30 yards to the house. Who doesn't love a big man touchdown for sure? And Neshannock in the second half then went to the ground game. Anthony Ake and Pat Arjo both with touchdown runs. Mazzocco an 88-yard keeper as well in that final 42-12. Newcastle traveling to Armstrong, and how about this? The 0-2 Canes fighting early. They led over Armstrong 19-8. However, the Riverhawks exploded with their offense in the second half especially, end up taking a 49-19 victory. Hats off Kyrell Harris. He really showed off the athleticism using his legs. Quarterback keeper for 14 yards, got the first touchdown, and then a beautiful scramble for a 29-yard touchdown. He also threw a gorgeous back pylon touchdown pass to Maddox Thompson, sandwiched in between those 2 rushing scores. However, defense could not keep up with the powerful Armstrong offense. Do want to give a shout out to Jaden Kirkwood, though. He had a spectacular interception on defense, but again, that Riverhawks offense is too strong in the second half. And finally, our Saturday night game, the 50th all-time meeting between the Wilmington Greyhounds and the Mercer Mustangs, and it went the way of Wilmington, 48-14 in this non-region game. And yet again, the Ben Miller Show. How about this? 100 yards rushing, so he's 3 for 3 in terms of going over the century mark. He scores 3 touchdowns on the ground. He also had a kick return, 87 yards for a touchdown. Give a shout out to Buda Book as well. The quarterback getting it done on defense. A 30-yard pick six going from far sideline to near to get that touchdown. And finally, for Coach Fillion and staff, a game where the winning score didn't occur in the final minute of play for the Greyhounds, who are, guess what, 2-1 on the year. And they have another big home game next week against the Hickory Hornets. We'll preview that one. That's our featured game of the week with our friends up at Mercer County Radio. We'll look at that one and all the games coming up when we get to our Week 3 preview coming up later in the week. Remember, games start early this week. A Thursday night game between Union and Shenango. We'll have that one on the air as well, and we'll preview that and all the games coming up as we continue our Lawrence County podcast series on Lawrence County SportsNet, powered by LCAP. All of these podcasts delivered by Penn Ohio Bottled Water.